Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So yesterday was a fantastic day for society on a whole, as well as an incredible day for Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp got his verdict and it was in his favour. He was awarded $15 million, not strictly speaking 15 million, because the 5 gets rounded down to 350 grand. So it is what it is. Again, sorry that the light's just gone out. That's going to be a little bit confusing for people, I'm sure. But let's roll on. So he was awarded essentially 10 million and 350 grand, but he has to pay Amber Heard 2 million. So it was a historic day, though. Either way, this is a turning point, hopefully, in society, just ripping people apart for hearsay. Because that's what it was. It was always hearsay. There was no evidence. But we're getting cope running out now, ladies and gents. To be expected, in fact. The cope is here. The copium is rife. The Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial was an orgy of misogyny. That's right, ladies and gents. It's misogyny, and if you supported it, you're a misogynist as well. Even if you're a woman that just, didn't want women to have a bad name, falsely accusing people. Fantastic. Now, they say here that the backlash to #MeToo has long been underway. Now it's here. Now, I think what's important is actually to differentiate between Me Too and what Me Too was co-opted into. So I've gone on record and said this a few times now, is that I'm hoping that this trial and, the sort of turning point in society, which I think that we are coming to anyway, hopefully, I'm probably being a bit blind, but hopefully, is that, basically Me Too was co-opted into a Believe All Women movement, and it was just solely Believe All Women. That's what it was. And this article perfectly represents that as well. But what I think and I hope is happening now is that Me Too is being defined or redefined as it should have been from the outset, which was just everyone can be abused. Because that's what it should have been. That's what it was supposed to be, but it was co-opted to essentially be a misandrist's wet dream. Now, if you don't know what misandry is, it's a term seldom used in the media, but it's the opposite of misogyny. So a woman can't be a misogynist. A woman is a misandrist, someone that just blindly hates men. You could say that third wave radical feminists are misandrists, generally speaking. A lot of generalizations here, I understand that. There's some nuance to this discussion, but we have to do generalizations. So I'm hoping that this is the turning point where we get the Me Too as it should have been. The whole #Me Too and there's this sort of charitable donations, that was all a big grift anyway. But the movement or the sentiment, as in everyone can be abused, that's what's important. But this article is just ridiculous. Apparently, any woman that supported Johnny Depp is a misogynist now. And the thing is here is they start with the most sort of ludicrous, out of context elements to bolster their argument, i.e., the abusive text messages. I mean, come on now, behave. These things were said in private; they were not meant for her. We have every single one of us, has described someone in a fairly repugnant fashion behind closed doors. We've all done it, all right. You wouldn't say it to their face. Maybe you would in an argument, but generally speaking, you wouldn't. We're entitled to our privacy and our freedom of thought within our own privacy. It just so happened that these got published. But funnily enough, remember, ladies and gents, this was because they were basically taken from Johnny Depp's phone, like stolen. It was a really weird situation. Loads of messages were turned over. But Amber Heard didn't turn any of hers over. So, let's view this as it is, which is a definitively biased, one-sided argument. Because I'm sure, very, very sure, that if we sifted through Amber Heard's phone, we would find some disgusting stuff that she said about Johnny Depp. Because we're entitled to our freedom in privacy to say these things. It just is what it is. But to bolster their nonsensical argument, and this is media cope right here, they have to start with that, right? Now, they start to say, all this nonsense here, saying, well, the text became public as part of Depp's defamation suit against Heard, now at trial in Virginia court. And it's not, though. Depp is suing, 2018 article. I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath, which is now defamation. And I think these publications need to be really careful about republishing this stuff because, yeah, it's proven to be defamatory now. Now they state here, blah, 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 the article does not mention Depp, but his lawyers say that the piece was about him and was defamatory. For those 11 words, Depp is seeking $50 million. Yeah, which was perfectly justified. A jury thought he deserved it. On Wednesday, the case's verdict came in, finding that Heard defamed Depp, acting with malice. She did. When she described herself as a victim of domestic abuse. 100% she did. This is all factual now, proven in court. Let's not beat around the bush. And YouTube, stop striking channels talking about this stuff. You're crap. Bizarrely, the same jury found that one of Depp's lawyers defamed Heard when he said that her account of abuse was a hoax. The verdict came after a trial that was televised, an extremely rare situation for a proceeding that concerns allegations of domestic violence. But the thing is as well, what was really important about that was that's something which Johnny Depp fought tooth and nail to have because he did not want the media spin, which, case in point, this is media bollocks. Right? This is what you need to keep an account here, is that this media is not, this is nonsense. But they're going to keep doing this, and they're going to keep pushing this stuff out because they've got nothing better to do than double down on their ridiculous position that they held all throughout this. They firmly stated, head in the sand, let's believe Heard. Without looking at the evidence, without even following the trial, most of these people, you looked at their articles, you looked at their tweets, and you're like, you're not even watching the trial right now. Like I can definitely tell you are not watching this trial. Like, what are you doing? And so obviously when the verdict comes in, having not watched any of it, they just go, right, well, here's the most ludicrous piece of evidence we can use to bolster our argument. Out of context, there you go, done. And they're going to keep doing this, ladies and gents. Mark my words, this will keep going. And it's just media cope. It's nonsense. Now, they go further and say the strange, illogical and unjust ruling has the effect of sanctioning Depp's alleged abuse. Sorry, unjust? No, that was absolutely justice. Absolutely. How dare you say the strange, illogical and unjust ruling? Sorry? And they're being careful here, because she wants to say it, of sanctioning Depp's alleged abuse of Heard. And of punishing Heard for speaking about it. Well, if it's been proven to be defamatory, there's no evidence, so you can't call him an abuser. And yes, you absolutely can punish someone for speaking about something which is false. You absolute myopic imbecile. It will have a devastating effect on survivors. No, wrong. Because there are many women coming out now, and they're all in my comment section as well, so shout out to all you lovely ladies following me now. But there's loads of women in my comment section now going, no, love, you're talking nonsense. We as actual survivors don't want Heard spouting off crap. That's what real survivors think. Not this nonsense here. And they say, devastating effect on survivors who will be silenced. Now, with the knowledge that they cannot speak about their violent experiences at men's hands without the threat of a ruinous libel suit. Well, how about, ladies and gents, let's remove that, because she was very careful here. It will have a devastating effect on survivors. So she uses a non-gendered term, non-specific sex, right? Devastating on survivors. But then we see exactly what she means here. And this is a clear bias. Obviously, you'd expect nothing less from The Guardian, a total shit rag. But they say devastating effect on survivors, blah, 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 who will now be silenced with the knowledge that they cannot speak about their experiences, violent experiences at men's hands. Women's speech just became a lot less free. So what is it, women that can only be victims? Come on. This is what this whole trial was about. If you support The Guardian after this, you are part of the problem. You need to stop supporting these absolute pieces of garbage. They go into this article with a very clear bias, and you can see it right here. According to this individual, only women can be victims. I mean, sorry, that's nonsense. It's total nonsense. Over the past 6 weeks, as the trial was live streamed online, many of those who have tuned in to watch have treated Heard with the same contempt that Depp did in his text. Wrong. What they did, actually, what most people did, and this is why you know that they haven't watched this, was actually sat there and they watched the evidence. There was no evidence before this. It was just hearsay. A broad consensus has emerged online that Heard must be lying about her abuse. I mean, that's proven in a court of law. Actually, it's proven now in a court of law. She has been accused of faking the photos of her injuries from Depp's alleged beatings, painting bruises on with makeup. She's been accused of convincing the multiple witnesses who say Depp abused her to lie. Well, there wasn't a multiple, and they're all freeloaders. And now they're no longer friends with Amber Heard. Bit weird, isn't it, really? Repeatedly and under oath for years. These conspiracy theories are unsupported by the facts of the case. Wrong, actually. Wrong. They are supported by the facts of the case, and because the facts of the case were proven in Depp's favour, we can say that as well. You absolute... speechless. Moron. But that has not stopped them from spreading online. The case has taken on a heady mythology, and belief in Depp's righteousness persists independent of the evidence. Sorry, what? What do you mean, independent of what evidence? There was no evidence from Heard's side. All the evidence was in Depp's favour. You know that this woman, this absolute piece of turd, did not watch the trial. Do not support The Guardian. Wow. In the service of this myth, any cruelty can be justified. When Heard took the stand, she became emotional as she recounted how Depp allegedly hit her, manipulated and controlled her, surveilled her, and essayed her. Afterwards, ordinary people, along with a few celebrities, even brands like Duolingo and Milani, took to social media to mock or undermine Heard. Well, no, Milani actually took to social media to say she was lying because the colour palette she claimed to use was not even in production at that time. So no, it was not about mocking. It's to literally call her out and say, no, you're lying here. We know that because we make the bloody thing that you claim to have used. They took screenshots of her weeping face and made it a meme. I mean, yeah, she is memeable. Say dumb shit online. Like, it's the old phrase of, like, fuck around and find out. She did dumb shit. You get called out for it. Many performed mocking reenactments of a testimony. 100%, yeah. Because if you sit there and you lie and you put on this over-dramatic performance of, my dog stepped on a bee, yeah, people are going to go, what? You're mental. So anyway, now they're saying this cruelty is now then joined in and compounded by the jury. What? This cruelty has now been joined in and compounded by the jury, who have gone beyond mocking her for telling her story and now declared that she actually broke the law by doing so. I actually can't believe what I'm reading. So the jury's wrong? This is what The Guardian wants you to believe. No evidence, but the jury's wrong. Nonsense. This is not the first time Depp has sued over allegations. Let's not even talk about the UK Sun trial, because that is an absolute joke. Huge joke. The trial has turned into a public orgy of misogyny, apparently. While most of the vitriol is nominally directed at Heard, it is hard to shake the feeling that really it is directed at all women. No, wrong. Because there'll be so many women jumping in the comment section now going, this woman's full of shit. So no, you are so way off base, but you cannot admit it. This is what it is. It's head in the sand nonsense. Absolute nonsense. It's directed at all women. No, it's not. And there's many women watching me now that are laughing at you, Guardian. They're not laughing at me. They're not hating me. They're not thinking that I'm a misogynist. None of that. The majority of women will be looking at this going, wow, this woman is mental. And it's not because she's a woman. It's because she very clearly has an ideological bias, a political bias, some reason. This is an apolitical situation. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you sit on, but they try to make it political. They try to make it ideological. This person has a bias, and that you're going to get called out for it. It's utter tosh. One woman has been made into a symbol of a movement that many view with fear and hatred, and she's being punished for that movement. In this way, Heard is still in an abusive relationship. But now it's not just with Depp, but with the whole country. You are so warped. So warped. Like, I don't know if I can actually continue reading this. There's not that much more that's worth reading. It is just nonsense. You know, they start banging on about the Me Too movement. The backlash to Me Too has long been underway. Critics of the movement painted women's efforts to end sexual violence as excessive, intemperate from the start, claiming Me Too has gone too far. It had gone too far because it literally got co-opted to believe all women. This is evidence of that, you utter imbecile. The forces of misogynist reaction are perhaps even stronger now for having been temporarily repressed. What about all the misandrists, ladies and gents? I cannot read this any further. I want your thoughts down below. Take care.